Welcome back to our chilling series exploring the haunted corners of America, where history and horror intertwine in ways that defy explanation. In this sixth episode of Most Haunted Ghost Towns of Colorado, we delve deeper into the shadowy remnants of once thriving communities now abandoned to time and decay. These ghost towns are more than just relics of a bygone era. They are portals to another realm, where the echoes of human ambition, tragedy, and despair linger long after the last resident has vanished. Colorado's rugged landscapes and rich mining history have left behind countless ghost towns, places frozen in time, their wooden structures weathered by wind and snow, their streets silent but for the whispers of the past. Yet beneath their desolate facades lie stories of heartbreak, betrayal, and unrelenting violence. These towns were born out of dreams of gold and silver, only to be consumed by greed, disease, and disaster. As the living moved on, the spirits of those who suffered, and sometimes perished, remained, tethered to the places where their lives ended abruptly or unhappily. In this episode, we'll journey to some of the most infamous haunted ghost towns across Colorado, places steeped in lore and fear, where the past refuses to stay buried. We'll peer into the shadowy depths of crumbling saloons soaked in blood, explore eerie mineshafts where miners met untimely ends, and tread cautiously through deserted streets teeming with restless spirits. Along the way, we'll hear first-hand accounts from witnesses brave enough to confront the unknown, examine chilling evidence captured by paranormal investigators, and unravel the tragic histories that give rise to these hauntings. So dim the lights, keep your ears sharp, and prepare yourself for a descent into the macabre. As we step into the haunted heart of Colorado's most notorious ghost towns, remember, sometimes, the most terrifying truths lie just beyond the veil, and once you cross it, there's no turning back. St. Elmo, a frozen relic of the gold rush nestled high in the Sawatch Range near the Continental Divide, St. Elmo stands as one of Colorado's best preserved ghost towns, a hauntingly picturesque relic of the state's gold rush era. Founded in 1880 during a silver and gold boom, St. Elmo quickly became a bustling hub for miners, merchants, and adventurers chasing fortune in the rugged Rocky Mountains. At its peak, the town boasted over 2,000 residents, numerous saloons, general stores, a post office, and even a schoolhouse. Its narrow streets buzzed with activity, while stagecoaches rattled through town carrying hopeful prospectors and weary travelers alike. Yet beneath its vibrant surface lay darker currents of greed, betrayal, and tragedy that would eventually lead to its decline. One of the most enduring legends tied to St. Elmo revolves around the Stark family, prominent figures in the town's early days. Antonia Stark, the matriarch of the family, ran the town's general store and was beloved by many. However, her husband, John Stark, was rumored to be a ruthless businessman who exploited miners and clashed frequently with rival landowners. Historical accounts suggest that tensions came to a head in 1902 when John mysteriously disappeared after a heated argument at the local saloon. His body was never found, though rumors swirled about foul play involving jealous rivals. Visitors exploring St. Elmo report hearing faint footsteps echoing through the empty streets late at night, accompanied by the sound of raised voices. Some claim to see a shadowy figure resembling John pacing anxiously near the ruins of the saloon, as if searching for answers or vengeance. Another prominent figure in St. Elmo's haunted lore is believed to be Mary Murphy, a young woman whose life ended tragically in the nearby Mary Murphy mine. According to local legend, Mary fell victim to a cave-in while working alongside her father, leaving her trapped underground for days before succumbing to injuries and starvation. Her spirit is said to haunt the mine entrance, manifesting as a faint outline of a woman in period attire. Tourists venturing close to the site often report feeling an overwhelming sense of sadness, as though Mary's grief permeates the very air. Others describe hearing soft sobbing emanating from within the mine shaft, accompanied by the faint clinking of tools against stone. The town's cemetery, located on a hill overlooking the remains of St. Elmo, has also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Employees tasked with maintaining the area often describe hearing muffled whispers and the sound of footsteps crunching through gravel, though no one else is present. Objects are known to move inexplicably. Tools vanish only to reappear hours later in entirely different locations. One particularly unnerving incident involved a volunteer who swore he saw a group of shadowy figures huddled together in the corner of the room, their faces gaunt and hollow. Theories abound that the cemetery harbors residual energy from countless funerals and mournings conducted there over decades. Modern-day investigations into St. Elmo's supernatural claims have yielded intriguing results. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific areas, including the saloon ruins and the Mayan entrance. Electromagnetic field (EMF) meters register unusual spikes, particularly near antique mining equipment believed to have been used during the town's operational years. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from audio recordings, which capture disembodied voices uttering fragmented sentences like, "Help me," and "I can't breathe." Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted allure, St. Elmo continues to draw thrill-seekers and history buffs alike. For those brave enough to tour the facility, the opportunity to encounter its spectral inhabitants adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its architectural decay or the weight of its tragic legacy, St. Elmo promises an unforgettable experience where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and the echoes of yesterday linger just beyond reach. Independence, echoes of ambition and loss perched along the continental divide at an elevation of nearly 11,000 feet. Independence stands as one of Colorado's highest and most remote ghost towns, a place where dreams of riches collided with harsh realities. Established in 1879 during a silver boom, Independence quickly attracted thousands of prospectors eager to strike it rich. Within months, the town boasted over 400 residents, multiple saloons, boarding houses, and even a newspaper. Yet its prosperity was short-lived, as brutal winters, dwindling ore deposits, and logistical challenges forced most settlers to abandon Independence by the mid-1880s. Today, the skeletal remains of cabins and mining operations serve as a haunting reminder of humanity's relentless pursuit of wealth, and the sacrifices made along the way. One of the most harrowing stories tied to Independence involves a miner named Jacob Rocky Johnson, whose obsession with finding gold ultimately led to his demise. Historical records indicate that Rocky refused to leave the town during the devastating winter of 1883 to 1884, convinced that his claim held untapped riches. Tragically, he froze to death in his cabin after running out of supplies. Visitors exploring the site report seeing a flickering light emanating from the windows of what was once Rocky's home, despite the structure being uninhabitable for over a century. Some claim to feel an icy draft pass through them as they approach, accompanied by the faint sound of someone shivering uncontrollably. Others describe hearing phantom footsteps crunching through snow, as though Rocky still roams the area, searching for warmth or salvation. Another prominent legend centers around the Independence Hotel, a once luxurious establishment that catered to wealthy investors and visiting dignitaries. According to local lore, a fire broke out in the hotel under mysterious circumstances in 1881, claiming several lives. Witnesses reported seeing guests frantically leaping from second-story windows to escape the flames, while others perished inside. Paranormal investigators exploring the charred remains of the building have captured EVP recordings suggesting the presence of multiple entities whispering phrases like, "Get out," and "It's too hot." Shadows flit across peripheral vision, disappearing when directly observed. Some speculate that the victims of the fire remain tethered to the site, unable to find peace due to the traumatic nature of their deaths. The town's mine shafts, carved deep into the mountainside, have also become focal points of paranormal activity. Employees tasked with securing the area often describe hearing distant hammering and the groaning of timber supports, though no one else is present. Objects are known to move inexplicably. Tools vanish only to reappear hours later in entirely different locations. One particularly unnerving incident involved a hiker who swore he saw a gaunt figure dragging an invisible load up the trail, his face obscured by shadows. Theories abound that the mines harbor residual energy from countless accidents and collapses that occurred during Independence's heyday. Modern-day investigations into Independence's supernatural claims have yielded intriguing results. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific areas, including the ruins of the Independence Hotel and the mine shafts. Electromagnetic field (EMF) meters register unusual spikes, particularly near rusted mining equipment believed to have been used during the town's operational years. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from audio recordings, which capture disembodied voices uttering fragmented sentences like, "Help us," and "We're still here." Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted allure, Independence continues to draw thrill-seekers and historians alike. For those brave enough to explore the ruins, the opportunity to encounter its spectral inhabitants adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its scenic isolation or the weight of its tragic legacy, Independence promises an unforgettable experience where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and the echoes of yesterday linger just beyond reach. Animas Forks, shadows beneath the peaks high above the San Juan Mountains, accessible only by winding dirt roads and treacherous switchbacks, lies Animas Forks, one of Colorado's most remote and haunting ghost towns. Once a thriving mining community established in the 1870s, Animas Forks quickly became a beacon of hope for prospectors seeking silver and gold in the rugged wilderness. At its peak, the town housed around 450 residents, complete with a school, general store, and even a newspaper. However, its prosperity was fleeting, as harsh winters, dwindling resources, and economic downturns drove settlers away by the early 20th century. Today, the weather-beaten shells of cabins and mining structures stand as silent sentinels, guarding secrets of ambition, betrayal, and loss. One of the most pervasive legends tied to Animas Forks involves the Duncan family, who operated one of the largest mining claims in the area. Historical accounts suggest that Patriarch James Duncan died suddenly under mysterious circumstances in 1881, leaving his wife, Elizabeth, to manage the business alone. Overwhelmed by debt and pressure from rival miners, Elizabeth allegedly took her own life in the family's cabin 2 years later. Visitors exploring the site report hearing faint sobs emanating from within the decaying structure, accompanied by the sound of furniture scraping against wooden floors. Some claim to see a pale figure standing motionless in the window, her silhouette illuminated by moonlight before vanishing without explanation. Others describe feeling an oppressive weight pressing down on them, as though Elizabeth's despair lingers in the air. Another prominent figure in Animas Forks' haunted lore is believed to be Tommy O'Reilly, a young boy who vanished without a trace in 1890. Local rumors suggest that Tommy wandered off into the mountains during a snowstorm and was never seen again. Paranormal investigators exploring the area have captured EVP recordings suggesting the presence of a childlike entity whispering phrases like, "cold," and "I'm scared." Shadows flit across peripheral vision, disappearing when directly observed. Some speculate that Tommy's spirit remains tethered to the town, unable to find peace due to the traumatic nature of his disappearance. The town's mine shafts, carved deep into the mountainside, have also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Employees tasked with securing the area often describe hearing distant hammering and the groaning of timber supports, though no one else is present. Objects are known to move inexplicably. Tools vanish only to reappear hours later in entirely different locations. One particularly unnerving incident involved a hiker who swore he saw a gaunt figure dragging an invisible load up the trail, his face obscured by shadows. Theories abound that the mines harbor residual energy from countless accidents and collapses that occurred during Animas Forks' heyday. Modern-day investigations into Animas Forks' supernatural claims have yielded intriguing results. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific areas, including the ruins of the Duncan cabin and the mine shafts. Electromagnetic field (EMF) meters register unusual spikes, particularly near rusted mining equipment believed to have been used during the town's operational years. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from audio recordings, which capture disembodied voices uttering fragmented sentences like, "Help us," and "We're still here." Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted allure, Animas Forks continues to draw thrill-seekers and historians alike. For those brave enough to explore the ruins, the opportunity to encounter its spectral inhabitants adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its scenic isolation or the weight of its tragic legacy, Animas Forks promises an unforgettable experience where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and the echoes of yesterday linger just beyond reach. Ashcroft, whispers among the ruins tucked away in the Alp Mountains near Aspen. Ashcroft stands as a haunting testament to both the promise and peril of Colorado's mining boom. Established in 1880, Ashcroft quickly grew into a bustling community of over 2,000 residents, complete with hotels, saloons, and even a weekly newspaper. Its strategic location along trade routes made it a vital stop for prospectors and merchants alike. Yet, despite its initial success, Ashcroft's fortunes waned as richer strikes were discovered elsewhere, and the town began its slow decline by the late 1880s. Today, the skeletal remains of cabins and other structures serve as eerie reminders of a once thriving settlement, now reduced to silence save for the whispers of those who refuse to let go. One of the most enduring legends tied to Ashcroft involves a mysterious woman known only as the Widow. According to local lore, she arrived in town during its final years, clad in black and rarely speaking to anyone. Some speculated she was searching for her husband, a miner presumed lost in one of the many dangerous shafts surrounding the area. Others whispered that she had come seeking vengeance for his untimely death. Visitors exploring Ashcroft report seeing a figure dressed in Victorian mourning attire wandering among the ruins, her movements slow and deliberate. Some claim to feel an icy hand brush against their skin as she passes by, while others describe hearing faint sobbing carried on the wind. The widow's presence is often accompanied by the scent of fresh earth, as though she lingers near unmarked graves. Another prominent figure in Ashcroft's haunted lore is believed to be Henry Nark, a notorious gunslinger who frequented the town's saloons during its heyday. Known for his quick temper and deadly aim, Henry reportedly killed 3 men in barroom brawls before disappearing himself under suspicious circumstances. Paranormal investigators exploring the ruins of the Blue Mirror Saloon have captured EVP recordings suggesting the presence of a male entity whispering phrases like, "Draw your gun," and "You shouldn't have done that." Witnesses described seeing a shadowy figure resembling Henry sitting motionless at a table, his expression frozen in eternal defiance. Others report hearing the distinct sound of glass shattering followed by heavy boots stomping across wooden floors, as though a fight is breaking out all over again. The town's cemetery, located on a hill overlooking the remains of Ashcroft, has also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Employees tasked with maintaining the area often describe hearing muffled whispers and the sound of footsteps crunching through gravel, though no one else is present. Objects are known to move inexplicably. Tools vanish only to reappear hours later in entirely different locations. One particularly unnerving incident involved a volunteer who swore he saw a group of shadowy figures huddled together in the corner of the room, their faces gaunt and hollow. Theories abound that the cemetery harbors residual energy from countless funerals and mournings conducted there over decades. Modern-day investigations into Ashcroft's supernatural claims have yielded intriguing results. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific areas, including the ruins of the Blue Mirror Saloon and the cemetery. Electromagnetic field (EMF) meters register unusual spikes, particularly near rusted mining equipment believed to have been used during the town's operational years. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from audio recordings, which capture disembodied voices uttering fragmented sentences like, "Help me," and "I can't breathe." Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted allure, Ashcroft continues to draw thrill-seekers and historians alike. For those brave enough to explore the ruins, the opportunity to encounter its spectral inhabitants adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its architectural decay or the weight of its tragic legacy, Ashcroft promises an unforgettable experience where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and the echoes of yesterday linger just beyond reach. As we traverse the haunted landscapes of Colorado's most notorious ghost towns, from the opulent ruins of St. Elmo to the somber streets of Independence, striking similarities emerge that transcend individual locations and histories. These patterns are not merely coincidental but reflect universal themes of human emotion, unresolved trauma, and the enduring power of memory. From the wailing winds sweeping through abandoned mines to the shadowed alleys of forgotten saloons, these sites share a commonality that binds them together in a spectral sisterhood of sorrow and suspense. One recurring motif is the concept of unfinished business. Whether it's the victims of mining accidents, fires, or personal vendettas, these spirits seem tethered to the earthly realm by grievances left unaddressed. Their presence manifests as restless energy, often communicated through auditory phenomena, cries, whispers, or disembodied voices, that serve as pleas for acknowledgement or closure. This theme resonates across cultures and belief systems, reflecting humanity's innate need to resolve conflict and seek peace, even in death. Another shared characteristic is the role of architecture in amplifying paranormal activity. Historic ghost towns, with their labyrinthine alleyways, thick walls, and hidden alcoves, create environments conducive to isolating individuals and heightening fear. These structural elements act as metaphors for the psychological barriers erected by those who suffered within their confines, trapping emotions such as anger, despair, and regret. It's no coincidence that many reported hauntings occur in spaces imbued with emotional significance: saloons where fights erupted, mines where workers perished, or homes where families faced starvation. Lighting and sensory manipulation also feature prominently in these narratives. Flickering campfires, sudden gusts of wind, and inexplicable odors are staples of ghostly encounters, designed to disorient and unsettle. Such phenomena strip away the comfort of familiarity, forcing visitors to confront the unknown. The use of mirrors, a recurring element in stories from various haunted towns, adds another layer of psychological tension, as reflections distort perception and blur the boundary between self and other. This interplay of light and shadow becomes a tool wielded by unseen forces, creating moments of visceral terror that linger long after the initial shock subsides. Finally, the prevalence of historical context cannot be overstated. Each ghost town's haunting is deeply rooted in its unique past, shaped by the socio-cultural milieu of its time. The brutal conditions embedded in the DNA of older settlements contrast sharply with the glamorous yet tragic lives immortalized in urban legends. Yet both narratives tap into broader archetypes of ambition, betrayal, and mortality, ensuring their resonance with audiences regardless of personal experience. By drawing on these universal motifs, these haunted places transform from mere ruins into living repositories of collective memory, inviting us to peer into the abyss of our shared humanity. Thus, while each ghost town boasts its own distinct flavor of fright, the underlying threads connecting them reveal a tapestry rich with meaning. These patterns remind us that the supernatural is not so much about the entities themselves but the stories they tell, the echoes of lives interrupted, passions extinguished, and truths obscured. As we continue to explore these haunted locales, we find ourselves grappling not only with the specters of the past but with the timeless questions they raise about life, death, and everything in between. The psychology of fear. Why haunted ghost towns captivate us? What is it about haunted ghost towns that grips our imaginations so profoundly? Beyond the creaking floorboards and flickering lights lies a deeper allure, one rooted in the psychology of fear and the human fascination with the unknown. These sites, by their very nature, are places of vulnerability. They are where we confront our mortality, stripped of autonomy and control, relying entirely on the expertise of others to heal us, or failing that, to ease our passing. When these spaces become haunted, they amplify our primal fears, transforming familiar settings into arenas of existential dread. The combination of historical context, architectural design, and the lingering presence of past suffering creates a perfect storm of terror that resonates deeply within us. The core of this captivation is the concept of liminality, the state of being on the threshold between two worlds. Haunted ghost towns exist in this liminal space, bridging life and death, prosperity and ruin, hope and despair. This inherent duality makes them fertile ground for supernatural narratives. Ghosts, as manifestations of unresolved trauma or unfinished business, embody the tension of being caught between states. They serve as reminders that the boundaries we construct, between life and afterlife, sanity and madness, are far more permeable than we'd like to believe. For many, visiting a haunted site feels like stepping into a twilight zone where the rules of reality no longer apply, igniting both curiosity and unease. Architecturally, haunted ghost towns contribute to this atmosphere of dread through their design. Long, narrow streets lined with identical cabins create a sense of disorientation, while poor lighting and echoing acoustics heighten sensory awareness. These features mimic the psychological effects of anxiety and claustrophobia, making even mundane sounds, a distant howl of the wind, the creak of old wood, feel ominous. The labyrinthine layouts of older structures, with their hidden wings and underground tunnels, evoke feelings of entrapment and uncertainty. Every corner becomes a potential threat, every shadow a possible harbinger of danger. This environmental manipulation taps into our instinctual fight or flight response, keeping us perpetually on edge. Cultural influences also play a significant role in shaping our fascination with haunted ghost towns. Media representations, from films like The Revenant to television series such as Westworld, have cemented the trope of the abandoned frontier town as a locus of horror. These portrayals often blend historical truths with fictional embellishments, creating a mythology that blurs fact and fiction. Audiences are drawn to these stories because they reflect societal anxieties about institutional power, systemic injustice, and the fragility of the human mind. Haunted ghost towns become microcosms of larger fears: the loss of agency, the misuse of authority, and the haunting specter of mistakes made in the name of progress. Moreover, haunted ghost towns appeal to our desire for catharsis. Engaging with these tales allows us to process our own fears about mortality, injustice, and the flaws inherent in systems meant to protect us. By confronting ghostly apparitions and unexplained phenomena, we externalize internal anxieties, transforming abstract fears into tangible adversaries. This vicarious experience provides a safe outlet for exploring the darker aspects of human existence, offering both thrill and relief. It's no wonder that ghost tours and paranormal investigations of haunted ghost towns attract participants eager to test their courage against the unknown. Ultimately, the enduring allure of haunted ghost towns lies in their ability to mirror our deepest fears while challenging our understanding of reality. They remind us that the past is never truly buried, that pain and injustice leave indelible marks on both people and places. As we walk their haunted streets, we are forced to confront not only the spirits said to inhabit them but also the ghosts within ourselves, the regrets, doubts, and unanswered questions that linger long after the wounds have healed. In doing so, we find a strange comfort in knowing that we are not alone in our fears, that others have walked these same paths and emerged shaken but alive, to tell their stories. As we bring this chilling journey through Colorado's most haunted ghost towns to a close, one thing becomes abundantly clear: the spirits of the past refuse to be silenced. Each creaking floorboard, each whispered name, and each fleeting shadow serves as a testament to lives lived, lost, and lingering in the spaces we dare to call haunted. These stories are more than mere campfire tales. They are fragments of history, stitched together by human emotion, tragedy, and the relentless passage of time. They remind us that the line between the living and the dead is far thinner than we might believe, and that sometimes the most terrifying truths lie just beyond the veil. But why stop here? If these accounts have stirred something within you, a spark of curiosity, a shiver of excitement, I urge you to take the next step. Visit one of Colorado's haunted ghost towns yourself. Walk the same streets where spirits are said to roam, stand in the ruins where history's echoes reverberate, and let the unknown brush against your senses. Whether you're a skeptic seeking proof or a believer eager to commune with the other side, these forsaken settlements offer an unparalleled opportunity to confront the mysteries that lie just beyond comprehension. There's nothing quite like experiencing the weight of decades-old despair firsthand, feeling the chill of a presence that defies explanation, or hearing the faint strains of voices from another time. And when you return, share your story. Did you feel the icy touch of a ghostly hand? Hear the faint tap of footsteps in an empty corridor? Or perhaps nothing happened at all, but isn't that silence just as intriguing? Your experiences add to the rich tapestry of lore surrounding these haunted places, ensuring their legacies endure for generations to come. Share your findings with fellow enthusiasts, document your journey, and keep the conversation alive. After all, every whisper contributes to the symphony of the supernatural. Until then, keep your lanterns lit and your courage steady. The spirits are waiting.